members of the council. And my name is S. Paul Ryan, an attorney with offices in Barrington, Rhode Island. And my voice is going hoarse, as you can see. But I'm here on behalf of No LMG and PDD, and I'd like to review some of the issues that the council can focus on in relation to this application. First of all, as was noted a few minutes ago, the applicant is not a federal agency or their contractor. It is a third-party applicant, and therefore you can apply strict enforcement of Section 120 of your CRMC Red Book. I just will read a little bit of that section. If a proposed activity is not explicitly prohibited, and this is my exhibit, page 7. Actually, you have your CRMP as an exhibit B, the relevant pages. If a proposed activity is not explicitly prohibited, but the applicant cannot meet the specific policies and standards contained in the program, then the applicant must obtain a variance in accordance with the burdens of proof outlined in CRMP, Section 120, and then it goes on to say some variances may be administratively granted. Years ago, 25 years ago, I appeared before the council on a project called New Bay. And I used to call the New Bay Power Plant, which was proposed for the Seekonk River, the power plant on wheels. I called this proposed site, which is not a power plant, it's an LMG facility, but I call it the project that's in a time machine. But the relevance of the time machine is not whether it's 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. The relevance of the time machine is that the engineering on this proposed facility has to match what's going to happen in 25 years, what's going to happen in 30 years, and maybe if this facility, like the tank, is in its 43rd year, then this facility better stand up to what's happening 43 years down the road. One of my exhibits is the exhibit related to the Houston flood this year. It was the third 500-year storm in 3 years in Houston. Nobody anticipated that kind of an impact of 3 significant storms. To put it in perspective, the 38 hurricane was a 100-year storm. If you saw a 500-year storm on this waterfront, it would be a complete disaster. So you're not allowed to demand that they give you engineering to a 500-year storm. But you are in a position to demand that they give you significant engineering which shows exactly what would happen to this plant in a storm. Beyond that, you can ask for peer reviews, which haven't been done to my knowledge. I mean, the staff has reviewed the application, but there haven't been peer reviews of the engineering on the project. And with peer reviews, we get into what I put also in my memo. I include in the memo in Exhibit D the federal regulations of 15 CFR 930.6E. And this is what the regulations require, even though they're federal regulations, of this applicant to show as part of their burden of proof. And I'm not going to read the whole section, it's in my Exhibit D. But any information relied upon by the applicant to make its certification, and the word certification came up tonight. Somebody corrected someone, there was a certification on an application per se. Maps, diagrams, and technical data shall be submitted when a written description alone will not adequately describe the proposal. And I suggested you've had a lot of conclusory statements about how the application meets the various Section 120 requirements, but you have not had real proof. So for that reason, just as to the consistency issue, you can require further submissions to ensure that 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever it's going to be, it's going to withstand a significant impact storm. You can also require peer review. And as we just heard with Mr. Fugate advising you have February 28th as a deadline, it gives you time to demand both rather than just closing the hearing and making a vote. Now, beyond the consistency argument, and one of the things I was going to do is a federal project run by the federal government, which had a consistency review here, was the Upper Harbor project by the Army Corps of Engineers, the removal of silt and the restoration of the depth of the harbor. So that's an example of where the government is the applicant. In this case, we have a third party as the applicant. The government has a lot easier review by a state agency than an applicant does, such as a third party. In the 50-foot buffer, Save the Bay, and I'll give them the credit, has requested two things. As to the buffer zone, they've requested that the applicant, not on this particular exact lot, but on the abutting lot, provide vegetation, which they can do, and they have not done, and they have not proposed a plan to do it. And that's a requirement under your conditions to get the variance. As to the public access, we all know that the Greenways project, which many of us worked on, was compromised by Homeland Security. And it's just a suggestion I had that you start to develop some kind of a open space bank. And lastly, this 50-foot setback is strictly driven by location. And I suggest to you that these neighbors, 43 years ago, got the shaft. But it wasn't John's shaft. It was an LMG tank. Thank you.